Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer, and 1 in 5 Americans will find themselves diagnosed before the age of 70. More than 2 people die of skin cancer every hour in the United States. So clearly this is something that we should be talking about. I am Jennifer, your resident bleeping teacher, and after my own journey with skin cancer, I have made it my mission to help people better prepare themselves should they find themselves in the same boat. If you would like to hear more about my story, it's going to be linked above. So to date, I have only spoken with people who have had basal or squamous cell carcinomas, but that changed today when I got to speak with Cherie Hudson. She is going to tell us all about her journey with melanoma, to include seeking a second opinion and things that you may expect after the surgery. Because it doesn't just stop like at the surgery, like there's shit that happens afterwards too. Without further ado, here is Cherie's story. All right, hi, this is Cherie Hudson. Cherie, thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me today. I appreciate it. Where are you at right now?
I'm in sunny Kingman, Arizona.
Kingman, Arizona. Oh yeah, you guys are swimming in sunlight.
Yes, I love it, but I guess not no more.
So before we get started with you telling us your story and your journey with melanoma, tell us a little about yourself.
Oh, so I'm 59. I'm a mom of 4, a grandma of 11. I'm an outdoor person. I've been more or less like a tomboy all my life. I built this house I'm sitting in with my own hands. Drove truck, delivered many of cases for Coca-Cola. I worked at Coca-Cola for 18 years, and I would still be there, but I hurt my back and had to have back surgery, and I had a stroke, and it's a long story, but that's another topic. Anyways, they ended up just medically relieving me, and they're kind of paying me to just stay at home until I'm 65, which is great of them. So, because I have like lingering damage. Anyway, so I like to boat, fish, garden, camp, hike, anything outside. I go do it because I like it.
Actually, we can just get into some of the pictures that you sent because they start with that. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here.
So the first picture with more clothing on is up by Sedona. In fact, just this time of year, I just got a pop-up on my phone saying, 3 years ago today. So that was like a 10-mile hike that day. The picture in the middle, fishing on my boat in Lake Mead. That's one of my favorite things. We go out 3 to 4 times a week during the summertime. And then the one on the far side is me and my Uncle Don, who passed away. They didn't do an autopsy on him, but he had severe melanoma cancer. If somebody wanted to zoom in on that picture, he lost one of his ears because of it and had to have skin graft from his butt cheek to his face to fix it. So he passed away. But anyways, that's me in the great outdoors where I love to be.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about the loss of your uncle. And I do hate to hear that. I'm sorry.
And this is kind of a jump forward, but just so you know, I kind of had a mix of 2 doctors. One of them, I joined the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, and they're more of let's get to it before it gets to you type of how they do business, which I like that. I don't want to wait until it happens. I want to discover it as soon as it's there. Anyways, they said, let's do, my sister had breast cancer. So they said, let's do genetic testing for you for all cancers, not everything under the sun, like all cancers under the sun, but not genetic testings for any and everything. They specifically did cancers. And luckily it came back that I doesn't mean you don't get something, but I'm not gened up to get breast cancer, and I wasn't gened up to get melanoma. It strictly either came from toxic, some like sprays or whatever, or the sun or what have you.
So like outside sources.
Yeah, because it tests your melanini, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, to see if you have a lot or a little, and I have a lot. So it says that's more of a gear that you can get it easier when you're in the sun. So, but it did say it was more that, not definitely going to happen just because it's in your system. So
it's so interesting how they can, start to they can give you an idea of, whether or not you're going to be predisposed to something just based on who you are as a person, or, who you are genetically. So let's get into your your struggle and your journey, and we'll start with some more of the pictures that you sent.
This is last year, and 2022, and I had gone in July with my whole family to one of my daughter's house, and we hiked and did all the fun stuff. And after I got home, I noticed, I want to touch my screen, the little spot, as you see there on my left cheek. There it's bigger because I went to the doctor, but it was tiny, and I thought, oh, maybe I got a bug bite over there. Maybe I have like a little old lady pimple. So I tried to pop it easily because I know better. Nothing happened, so I just left it alone. But literally, that was in June when it first popped up. And this is October when I went to the doctor. He took a picture before he shaved it. It grew, and it was good size. I mean, it really stuck out. It was like a big mole, but you can see it's clear. It's got that pinkish look to it, which is called amelanotic, which is more rare than your normal melanoma that you'll see on people with the jagged, rough edges and more of a dark brown, almost black look.
Melanoma is some terrifying shit. It is estimated that about 8,000 people will die from melanoma in 2023 in the United States. Of those 8,000, 5,500 are going to be men. Do you know why? Men are less likely to go to the doctor when they have a spot that seems suspicious. If you find yourself accidentally enjoying my content, please take a minute to like and share, subscribe, all of the things so we can get this information out to more people.
So I went there with this big bump. I was suspecting, because I've had some other little skin cancers, but never melanoma, that they shaved off and I was good. So I was thinking it was maybe something like that, although I have a good sized mole right here on my nose. It's been checked every time I go, and it's good. It's just a mole. Been hanging out there all my life. So I thought maybe it was that and just needed to darken up. But I didn't want it on my face. One's enough, you know, if Marilyn Monroe can get away with it, maybe I can, but I don't want more than that. So I went, he looked at it, he said, I think it might be like a basal cell, so I'm going to shave it off. And because it was clear, he goes, I'll get back to you. So fast forward a week and a half later, it's like 8:30 at night, my phone rings. I have a really close relationship with my dermatologist. I was one of his very first patients ever when he came out of dermatology school. He directly called me himself. And when I saw his phone number, I didn't think much of it, although it was late. But when I said hello and heard his voice, I thought, this isn't going to be good. So he said, I am so sorry. That's how he started the conversation. He said, if I would have even begun to suspect melanoma, I would have never shaved that. I would have said, leave it, and we'll do it under more of a ready to do like a Mohs procedure. And, you know, remove it then. But it's almost good that he didn't do that, because it ended up being, they predicted 1.9 to 2.2 millimeters deep. And once you're over 1 millimeter, and I know somebody's going to watch this and correct it, but you get your information where you get it and believe what you believe. But my doctor, who I love, told me anything over 1 millimeter, they won't touch in a Mohs procedure. You have to go to the setting of the doctor hospital where they don't do little shaves. They just cut. They have a certain measurement depending on your size of melanoma that they cut out. So they just said, we're going to call it 2 because it's somewhere in the middle. This is how big we're going to cut. Anyway, so he told me it was melanoma and apologized, and that it was the Amelanotic. I have to keep looking at it because I can't remember that name.
That's okay.
Sorry, my stroke 2 years ago gives me a slow head sometimes. Anyways, so he set me up. He said, this doctor's a cancer doctor, not in a center. He's just a cancer doctor that does the surgery. I said, okay. So I went to him. He looked at it, looked over my body too, said, okay, we're going to remove it. You know, it's going to be the eyeball shape. You know, they don't just cut it and try to pull it together, because you're going to get those, what they call dog ears of skin sticking out. They cut them like your eyes are kind of shaped. And he goes, and I'm not the best surgeon. He goes, if this was on your arm or leg, I would sew you up. But since it's your face, we'll bring in a plastic surgeon. He'll sew you up. And I said, okay, 2 surgeons kind of sounds even more scary, but whatever. So then, after, even really before going there, because I asked them, I had looked online at people, I mean, all over, people with face melanoma or any melanoma, and they're all like, within a few days I had a PET scan. And so I asked him when I went, do you do a PET scan? He goes, well, we wait till we remove it. do your lymph node. If it's not in your lymph node, we don't do a PET scan. So I was like,
Okay.
okay. So some people I had friended and some groups I had joined. So I went back and asked them, I said, did you wait until after lymph nodes were tested? And almost all of them said no. They just did a PET scan to see. They didn't wait. You don't
That's
wait. It's
interesting.
cancer. Cancer's spreading as you're talking, so we're not waiting. So I was like, I don't like that. So I thought, maybe I need a second opinion. Not that I'm doubting this guy, but I just thought a second opinion, it's my body here in my life. So I reached
Absolutely.
out to the
Get your second opinion.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America. There's one down in Phoenix, which is 3 hours from me, but I don't care. So I made an appointment with them, talked to them about the PET scan. They said, you should have a PET scan. No waiting. Like, if you want to come to us for a second opinion, we're bringing you down here, and the day you're here, you're having a PET scan. We're not waiting to remove it. It's like a lymph node. We want to know if it's already got into your body. So I said, okay, I'm coming. So they set me up, and I love places like that in Mayo because they test, x-ray, image. You do it all in one day. There is no waiting 2 or 3, 4 weeks, depending on where you live. The town I live in is small, so it takes 3 to 4 weeks for results. Anyways, I went down there, they PET scanned me. They didn't find it anywhere in my body, except they do tell you if it's under 2 millimeters, like this on my face, it didn't even show up. Because anything under 2 millimeters, they say very rarely comes up in a PET scan. But I still wanted to do it, even though they told me that.
Yeah.
So then they're like, do you want to just keep coming here? Are you going to go back there? You're more than welcome to. And then I said, sorry, let me back up just a little. The doctor in Vegas is where the doctor was. He called me and said, we are short of anesthesiologists to do your procedure. Right now, we don't know when we can do it. So I was like, okay. So now I'm at cancer treatment centers, and they're like, do you want to come here? And I said, well, yeah, that would be good. Like, talk about what they would do. And they said, well, our plastic surgeon is the same surgeon that would cut you open. She does it all. She was out on maternity leave.
Wow.
And they only have the one plastic surgeon girl. Anyways, so I said, okay, and of course, this is new to you. So your head's freaking out thinking this is growing probably fast inside of me.
Yeah.
Which it grows fast, but not as fast as your head's letting you think. I mean, it's not like one day you're diagnosed and the next day your whole body's invaded with it. So anyways, I said, okay, I'm going to go to who can ever schedule me the soonest. So it ended up being the doctor in Las Vegas. So they removed it. So the second picture back when you was of the little dots drawn on my face, that's when they injected my skin with the nuclear dye stuff to see which lymph node it would drain into. They said normally it'll drain into one in your neck area. We've all had tonsillitis and the doctor does the feel behind your ear thing. He was kind of shocked that it was a lymph node in my face, almost within just an inch. I mean, because you see how far down they came with my incision to where this is where the cancer was. They would have stopped just barely after it, but they had to go pretty far down to get into that lymph node and to remove it out of my face. Yeah, those markings.
Yeah, and I want to.
Hospital. Yeah, the one on the right is where they had shot the dye and then used the camera to find the infrared glow of the dye to mark for the doctor to know exactly which lymph node was the very first lymph node that if my body was to, get cancer, that's where it would go first, would have been that lymph node.
Okay.
So when you have melanoma skin cancer that's deeper than a 1, you have to have this type of surgery where they find your lymph node, remove it, test it for cancer, and if it's cancer free, if I would have stayed with this doctor, his next process would be, you come see me once a year, I do the full body check for the next 5 years. Cancer Treatment Center says, you come to us, we PET scan you every 3 months for the first year. The next year is twice in the year, and then the 3 years following is once a year if nothing's happening. Yeah. So like I think I told you in a message, after they cut it out and they said there was no cancer in the skin they cut out, which was great. They got it all. When the Cancer Treatment Center called me and said, we got your results, I said, isn't that so great? There was no cancer. I'm good to go. And she said, whoa, slow down. She said, yeah, that is so great. I'm so happy. But you really need to PET scan every 3 months, then every 2 months, like I said. I said,
Yeah.
why is
Yeah.
that? He goes, well, I'll give you an example. And these are two people we're going to introduce you to. If you're willing that we give them your number, they're going to call you. So one is a person, no cancer in their lymph node. It had melanoma on their shoulder. So the lymph node came from their armpit, no cancer in it. 3 months later, had cancer inside their body. If she went and had that PET scan, it would have never been caught. The other one was a gentleman. He had it on his back. 2 years later, his PET scan picked up, for whatever reason, melanoma cancer loves your lungs, your brain, and your spine. So 2 years after his 2 years after his removal, with no lymph node, no cancer in his lymph node, he had it on his spine and in his lungs. They're both alive to tell the story. That's the great part about it. But like Cancer Treatment Center said, if they wouldn't have been PET scanned and just checked for more moles, it would have just grown and probably gone to more parts of their body and became a big problem. But we PET scan you for 5 years to catch it if it does come up somewhere, down the road. So I like that. I would rather pay a little more money and get checked than not get a thorough check, because you can only see the outside. The guy in Vegas, not to put him down. I mean, he's good, but I would rather have this thorough investigation done to me. So,
absolutely.
So I'm staying with them, and they'll be doing all those scans for me.
Okay, so I'd like to get into some of these pictures from after your procedure.
Okay, so the one on the left is literally the drive home. My boyfriend just held the camera and took my picture because he was like, I'm not going to show you this right now. And I wasn't really like foggy head or nothing. I was pretty good, just tired because I didn't sleep good the night before. He said, but you'll have it later to see. He goes, but it's looking pretty gnarly under there. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And then the next day, I think I might have told you the first day, but it was the next day they said to take all that wrapping with the compression garment off. And so that's the picture of what we saw. And that incision goes up and all the way around behind my ear. If you look at my glasses, people will be like, why do you have a nut, like a bolton nut on your glasses? Because when I put on and I have to wear glasses, I'm blind. They were sitting like this. I was like, I need a counterweight because I wear bifocals and I was seeing through the top and the bottom part at the same time. It was not good. So we were like, let's hot glue a nut on here. And when we're done, we can just pop it off and put the arm back on. Because we had to take the arm out. Brilliant. It was hitting the incision. It wasn't very comfortable. So,
So why, and this is the question that people ask me all the time about my own personal, experience, because I had a small spot with a huge incision. So why is your incision so large? Explain that.
So to pull your skin back together, I mean, a good example would be get a piece of cloth or a napkin, anything. Everybody that might be going to have to go through this to explain it. Cut a small eye shape, I don't know what you call that, a cat's eye shape, kind of round and then out to a point, and then lay it flat on the table and pull right at the most open area, pull it together and look at what happens to the ends. They perk or poke out. So if you leave your skin, that's what you're going to have. So they cut farther, and as far as they have to go away from it, sometimes it takes really far, and other times it doesn't take as far. If you get lucky, it depends. Once again, it depends on how big you had Mohs, right? The Mohs surgery?
Yes. Yeah,
okay,
I had Mohs.
So it doesn't matter. It still was a big hole, but sometimes people get away with not such a big area. It just depends on how big and how deep your cancer is. The deeper it measured, mine once again was 1.9 to 2.2. They weren't sure, so they just said, we're going to call it a 2. And that makes them go deep. Like it was literally inside my cheek for weeks. If you know what tuck and roll, like material, like how your couch can be like sewed, or a seat of a car. It's like every 2 inches is tucked, so it gives it a bump. That's what the inside of my cheek was like. Like I couldn't hardly chew without not biting, because he said it was so deep enough there that we were almost like a few more layers and we would have cut clear through your cheek. So because it was so deep, it makes him have to go out so far, or else you get that pucker. And then he didn't thought he'd have to go down as far here, but my lymph node ended up being, right there, not in my neck, because he said you probably wake up with an incision on your neck and then your face as well, but it was all in one. So
Got it. Okay, so let's get to the next set of pictures. I saw these and was like, "Oh my God, poor Cherie. This is crazy." So what are these tubes for? What are we draining here other than, bodily fluid?
So I don't know if this is probably a doctor preference, although I've had surgeons in
Okay.
my life that I always get these drain tubes. But they chose to put the drain tube back there so that the fluid could, drain out. Obviously, you see it in the tube, gross and nasty. You
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
empty the little bulb that's at the end. You have to detach it and empty it out. You have to
Mm-hmm.
document it because they will not take that out until you're less than whatever the measurement was. So mine took like 10 days to get to where in a 24-hour period, I was less than whatever the little mil was on this little bulb. I mean,
Yeah.
they're only like this big, but literally the first couple of days it was full when it got drained. But you can see the swelling. Yes, I'm a little bit of a chubby person, but I mean, look at
No, you're good.
that swelling is fluid underneath your skin. And if you don't get it out,
That's
drain it out.
crazy.
So yeah, so and very black and blue. I should have wrote this down. I have it left, but I'm not going to go look. It's some kind of a herbal thing that helps with bruising. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter had told me about it. She's a registered nurse. It's just an herbal supplement. Doctor doesn't give it to you. So I took it, and within just days, the purple started turning yellow really fast. So the bruising did go away pretty quickly.
Do you remember how many stitches you got?
It was 73. So the day I went in and they pulled them out, it was 73. But I went to the dermatologist because I ended up getting an infection. I think you have a better picture of that probably coming up. And
Yeah.
the plastic surgeon that was pretty much treating me afterwards, he was like, put Neosporin and those kind of over the counter stuff. And my dermatologist gave me this like, it's almost like a parasite skin infection. So it's a high grade antibiotic to put on it. So I went to
Okay, got it.
using that and it really started healing fast. Anyways, when I was
Yeah,
there
let's get to
seeing
those.
him, he pulled out a few that were still lingering behind because with the blood and the blackness, it's hard to miss the black and the stitches. So yeah, weeks progressing on, you can see the infection in that far left picture. So that was just a straight thin incision and it ended up getting
Yeah.
like almost 2 inches wide. My dermatologist, he said, it's just dead skin. It's just hanging there, dead skin. It's hard to get good
Yeah.
blood flow to your head because when your heart pumps, it goes straight to your head and then it falls so fast because it's downhill.
Yeah.
So he just cut it out, which I thought was creepy, but, it left what seemed like worse of a scar. But once he cut it out, it really did heal a lot faster. So, and then
Good.
you can
I'm
see
so glad.
yeah, the far right one was all healed up and doing good. And then, like I said, the other day I woke up with a little tear, probably a half-inch long in my skin. So,
I know that you had that trouble spot and you're still struggling with that, but the actual scar itself that comes down and around, your surgeon did a beautiful job.
yeah, he stitched really well. Luckily, I heal
Mm-hmm.
really well, sometimes almost too fast. Sometimes it needs to drain a little bit or
All right.
whatever.
Hold
But
on.
I've been
Cherie, I
rubbing
think I lost
vitamin
you.
E oil on it, on the scar now, not the incision when it was an incision. So I think it's helped a lot with the appearance going away. I'm not a makeup wearer, so they'll never be trying to
Yeah.
figure out cover it up. But I'm also the kind of person, if you don't like what you see, then don't look. So, people are judgmental, so it's better to just, if you don't like, just don't look.
I really thought that I would become a makeup wearer, to cover stuff. Oh my God, it's so complicated. Like, who wants to
Yeah,
deal with that?
yeah.
I don't like it.
I can't
So there are
handle
some more pictures.
Like I haven't even gone
Go
out
ahead.
really. I've gone out a few times, but it's just like quick to the car, quick in the store. But I'm really
Yeah.
starting to think about sunscreens because, next month it'll start warming up here. Even like my
Mm-hmm.
doctor said, if you're sitting, and right now I'm sitting at my kitchen table 3 feet from a big window. He said, if the rays are
Yeah.
shining through that window, if you're 5 feet or closer, you should have sunscreen on. I was like, in my house? He's like, those
Absolutely. In
rays
your
go right
house.
through the window. So for those of you who didn't know that, either believe me or look it up for yourself. So anyways, I'm gonna have to start learning to wear sunscreen on my face, and I'm a very light moisturizer because I hate that heavy feel. So I'll be trying some of the ones that you have been trying. So
Yeah, thank you. Because
yeah,
I'm
oh
always
yeah,
very honest. If it's heavy, I'm not wearing it.
yeah,
No, I can't do that.
yeah, me either. Especially out in the sun, because I can imagine it would just make it like either a sweaty type feel or mushy type feel. Usually is
Mm-hmm.
that how I feel with some lotions I've used. So yeah, there's me before any of this stuff ever started.
So yeah, I wanted to put this up because I mean you're absolutely stunning. You're beautiful. But
Thank
you know,
you.
I'm looking at the picture of you before and you know, you now, and you know, we may not always want to hear it at the time, but I mean you're still beautiful. You still look
Thank you.
incredible. So thank you for sharing these pictures with us.
You're welcome. If I can just say one more thing, like going into surgery,
Absolutely.
my
Hmm.
thoughts were, I hope the scar's not too big. I was so worried about that. I never thought about that. I'm going to smile for you. Pay attention to the scar side of my face.
Okay.
It doesn't work.
Oh
They
man.
had to move. So your central nerve for your face nerves is in the back of your head and they come around your face. And
Yeah.
mine was right there. So they didn't cut it, but they had to move it to get to my lymph node. He said,
Yeah.
hopefully it will come back. It's been 3 months. It's gotten a tiny bit better. Right here is tingly all the time, like waking up
Okay.
from the dentist. He said,
Yeah.
hopefully it'll come back. We need to give it like a month and a half. And at that point, whatever I have is what I'll have. So hopefully it'll get better because,
Oh.
like, you know, you put on chapstick or lip gloss or whatever and do the lip rubby thing. I can't do that.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work because this nerve is damaged. So just remember there's so much more in there. Of course, I didn't need that to worry about, but I didn't even think twice. So when I woke up and started healing,
Yeah.
and I was like, I can't put my lips around a straw. I can now, but at first I could not at all. So it's gotten a little bit
Yeah.
better. But the last probably month, it seems to kind of leveled out. So not to scare anybody, but I would rather have known to be prepared for this than to
Absolutely.
be where I am now. So just know you've got those main nerves, kind of like Bell's palsy type of thing going on. So
And don't worry about scaring anyone because I mean that's the entire purpose for us, you know, talking and me uploading it is so people know what to expect. It may not happen, but if it does, then they'll know what to expect because it's not just the initial surgery and
yes.
the scar, it's all the shit that comes after it too, you know? Of your whole journey to date, Cherie, what would you say has been the worst part?
Probably like most surgery, those first 3 to 5 days right after surgery are always hard. I've had tons of surgeries
Yeah.
in my life, so I knew that, was prepared for that. But now it's just, once again, this is another story, but I have nerve damage in my foot, and now this like
Mhm.
kind of like a cold, tingly, my numb, kind of like when you're waking up from Novocaine, but it always feels
Yeah.
cold. This just feels super cold. So that
Hmm.
now is like a hard thing for me. I'm trying to be positive, hoping
Yeah.
that it will come back. But I think the back of my head's like, this is probably as good as it's going to get. But I'll still stay positive that it'll get better. So that's been the hardest part. Like I said, I've always been that you don't look like the way I look, just look away. You know, it's not my
Yeah.
problem, it's your problem. So that doesn't bother me.
Absolutely.
I just wish it would heal and, you know, stay healed. So hopefully soon.
Yeah. I am a firm believer in feel what you feel. And while I think it's great that, you know, we're able to be positive and, you know, not let these things just absolutely destroy us, I think it's absolutely okay to every once in a while not be positive and to
Yeah.
be pissed off. Like, you know, in your case, that, you know, you have a whole side of your face that's not functioning the way it once did. So it's
Yeah.
okay to absolutely be pissed off or upset about that. So
Yeah.
feel what you feel, Cherie.
Yeah. Oh, I have my days, like not just
Yeah.
this, but when I combine all of my little body problems I have together, it's just like, yeah, it gets the better of me a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But hopefully
Absolutely,
it'll get better and
absolutely.
then it'll all be better. So,
I hope so too. Now, if it doesn't, you know, kind of repair itself on its own, have you talked to your doctor about if there's any sort of therapy or anything that could, you know, target that?
it's funny you asked me that because when I went to the cancer treatment center, they asked me if
Hmm.
the surgeon had recommended anything. And I said, no, not to pick on him. I'm not going to throw no names out there so nobody will know who it is anyways. But they said
Hmm.
they're, you know, definitely do the massaging thing because the plastic surgeon said to do that, although it's very tender
Yeah.
still. I mean, this up here, I have glasses on, but this is still very puffy. I can tell this, it has like, maybe not with this daylight shining in, but kind of a blue gray cast more. You can tell it's getting less circulation than here. Anyways, they
Yeah.
said the AEIOUs. Remember when you were like a kid in school and they would have you go, like
Yeah.
if you're in singing, you do AEIOUs. So I do those and not just say AEIOU, like go A, E, and try to move those muscles. So I do those faithfully a lot during the day because chewing like meat, chicken's not too bad, but steak, we had steak the other night and I ate like maybe 4 bites to where normally I would eat the whole little filet mignon. Because after you
Yeah.
chew so long, you could feel it like tightening up and it's very uncomfortable. So they
Oh, I
said it's
imagine it
good,
is.
but don't push it too far, but do the AEIOUs and the
Yeah.
massaging. So I've been doing that. So
Cherie, before we close out so you can get back to your day, is there any advice or any, words of encouragement that you would offer someone who, may find themselves in the same boat that you're in?
we'll even go a step backwards. If you're that sun lover, because when I was a kid, it was baby
Oh,
oil.
yes.
As an adult, my bottle on the boat, which I'll be getting out soon and throwing away, is extra heavy olive oil. That was my sunscreen. I literally, and this girl, like you would think I was Hispanic. I got so dark. And I'm going to have to find a good SPF mineral-based tanning that makes you look tan because I'm one of those people that think the white, I don't know, on me, because I'm chunky, makes me just look more chunky, Anyways, don't think it's not going to happen to you. It's going to get you sooner or later. Everything gets to you sooner or later. Maybe you'll get lucky and you won't get skin cancer. But the chances, the older we get, I mean, it's high. It's one of the biggest cancers that get to and kill people. Maybe not kill people, but get to people more than like a breast cancer or colon cancer. People get it all the time. So many people are diagnosed with it.
Absolutely.
Go to the doctor and get your body checked all the time, like at least once a year, but if you could do it twice a year, and if you can't go, have your partner, your spouse, your kid, whoever you're comfortable getting semi-naked in front of check you. And if it's concerning, it just seems a little different. Like just the past few days, I've had this little guy up here. I had one on my ankle afterwards. It ended up being nothing, but I'm not going to risk it because it's better to get him removed, pay the few bucks for the doctor visit than it is to leave it. And if you wonder about it, it probably needs to be checked. So don't let it go too long. I went quick. It only took me a couple of months and I was in. So don't wait,
advice.
don't put it off, get checked, wear your sunscreen, good mineral-based sunscreen, those banana boat, spray on, they haven't really said they cause skin cancers, but if they don't know, that means you don't know, so don't use them. If it's mineral-based, minerals are good for us, so use a mineral-based one.
So, Cherie, next time you are shopping for your lotion or your sunscreen, typically in that little area, you'll see it's the sunless tanning lotion. I think you'd be interested in that. It's basically fake tan in a little bottle. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've been reaching out to a few people that I know. There's some people on TikTok that use it and whatever. So I've reached out to ask them like what it is and brand. So I guess I'll put on my sunscreen. I guess you use that at night probably anyways. And then my good sunscreen when I go out during the day. So, but
Absolutely.
if I have to stay white and be cancer free, I will. I never want to do this again. If it ever happens to me, I hope it's from here down. But it's scary.
Damn, this pale skin.
Yeah, it's not like you just cut it out and it's over. I mean, the next 5 years of my life, you spend thinking, is this scan going to be the one? Especially after they told me about those people. I was like, well, holy crap. But I'd rather know than not know.
Better to know than not know.
Yeah, exactly.
Cherie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today. You are the first person that I've talked to whose, journey was with melanoma. So thank you so much because there's, you explained a lot that I didn't know and a lot of things that were never even discussed as part of my treatment plan, like PET scans and cancer centers, and none of that was ever brought up. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And if you need anything, let me know.
I will. And thank you for all you do for everybody that's possibly facing this or are facing it. So, and we'll keep watching for the sunscreen try-ons to see which one seems like the right one.
I cannot thank you enough for stopping by and listening to Cherie share her story. Please stay safe out there, and for the love of God, wear sunscreen.